When Brazil's president attended the UN General Assembly in late September, he was recovering from surgery, only on the ground for 30 hours. He reportedly didn't meet with any heads of state. He did, however, meet with Rudy Giuliani. It's a prime example of how Giuliani's position as President Trump's pro bono lawyer has given him unprecedented access to foreign leaders, and how those leaders treat him as a representative of the president. A CNN review finds Giuliani has met or communicated with top government officials of at least 7 countries since becoming Trump's attorney. His actions so troubling, sources inside the U.S. State Department tell CNN they track Giuliani's comments, which sometimes contradict U.S. policy.
There are those in the State Department and the professional U.S. national security apparatus who view Giuliani as a shadow Secretary of State.
Giuliani left public office as New York's mayor back in 2001. Since then, he's made millions in speaking fees and security and safety consulting contracts all over the globe. But being associated with Donald Trump has opened new doors at the top levels. He traveled to Uruguay, where he met with the president. He got rare access to the King of Bahrain and the Crown Prince, and sat down with the Defense Secretary of Armenia, usually introduced or referred to as President Trump's advisor. And in almost every case, there is something else. The president's unpaid trusted advisor is seeking to cash in. Security contracts in Bahrain, hired in Uruguay, speaking fees in Armenia. Former State Department official Andrew Miller says it's hard to tell who Giuliani works for, and foreign governments are taking no chances.
Unfortunately, it appears that foreign governments are putting more stock in what Rudy Giuliani, a private citizen, is saying than what the duly appointed and confirmed ambassador of the United States to these countries, or to official U.S. government officials who have also been vetted by Congress.
Beyond the confusion, is this also dangerous?
It is dangerous when you have someone whose interests are not aligned with the U.S. government, who is prioritizing his private financial interests. That leads to a clash, and that makes it a possibility that there's going to be some type of compromising of U.S. national security interests.
The top example so far is Ukraine, where Giuliani was paid $500,000 by a shady businessman who wanted the U.S. ambassador ousted. Giuliani convinced President Trump to get rid of her, and also pushed for a Ukrainian investigation into Joe Biden and his son Hunter. But it's not the only example where Giuliani's business interests contradicted or directed U.S. foreign policy. In Romania, he was paid to write a letter in support of a corrupt businessman, in direct contrast to the U.S. policy of urging Romania to crack down on corruption.
There was Mr. Giuliani basically siding with the crooks.
In Albania, he advocated for regime change in Iran, going so far as to tell his longtime clients, the Mujahideen al-Khalq, they should rule the Middle Eastern country.
And it's a group that should make us comfortable having regime change in the worst regime in the world.
This is also not the official policy of the United States. Neither is what happened in Armenia, where Giuliani, welcomed as President Trump's advisor, had to remind a reporter he was speaking only for himself.
I'm not here in my capacity as a private lawyer for President Trump. I'm here as a private citizen.
Hi, Mr. Giuliani. Drew Griffin with CNN.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Asked this week about cashing in on the Trump presidency, Giuliani became defensive.
That is a totally unfair question, not unexpected from the corrupt news network. And the reality is that everything I've done is totally legal.
It has yet to be determined if Giuliani's overseas business dealings are legal or not. Prosecutors from the Southern District of New York are investigating. 2 of his associates have been indicted on campaign finance charges. Senator Tom Udall is one of a half-dozen Democrats in the Senate asking the Department of Justice if Giuliani's actions and failure to register under the Foreign Agents Act is breaking the law.
With what we see out there and the multiple clients around the world, his meetings with the Trump administration, with the president, with various administration officials, there's no doubt that I think that there's a real issue here.
Giuliani insists he is only guilty of one thing: defending the president.
I am, in private law practice, I practice law honorably and well. I've never had a complaint, never had an issue ever in 50 years of private law practice. And I am being targeted by CNN because I am proving that you were corrupt in your coverage of the president all throughout this impeachment proceeding. Thank you.
Mira, primero quiero enfatizar que obviamente la oferta de mandar tropas o recursos militares a México por parte del presidente Trump es una sugerencia equivocada que obviamente no entiende, no comprende la realidad política de México, que no sería aceptable hacerlo. Pero en mi opinión nos presenta con una oportunidad para otra vez ver la cooperación en materia de seguridad entre México y Estados Unidos y de pensar en cómo los dos países realmente pueden enfrentar un problema que tienen en común, que es el crimen organizado, el flujo de drogas, el flujo de armas, el flujo de dinero ilegal de Estados Unidos a México por las drogas, y de decir qué es lo que queremos. Y lo que temo en esta situación es que el rechazo total por parte del presidente López Obrador de esta sugerencia del presidente Trump nos indica que no está dispuesto a ni considerar una colaboración más cerca con Estados Unidos. Y en mi opinión, esto es un error. Es un error por parte del presidente Trump de ofrecer intervenir en México, y eso también un error por parte del presidente López Obrador de rechazar realmente sin considerar lo que podemos hacer juntos. Y quiero enfatizar que obviamente es una tragedia, obviamente es una situación muy, muy triste por todo México, pero también estamos en una situación que es muy, muy seria, y lo estamos viendo aquí en Washington con reacciones muy fuertes, muy negativas por parte de políticos en el Capitolio, por parte de funcionarios en el Departamento de Estado, en las agencias de seguridad y también en la Casa Blanca. Entonces, tenemos una situación seria, muy grave, pero también tenemos una oportunidad para repensar la cooperación en materia de seguridad entre los dos países.
¿Qué piensas, doctor González Ruiz?
Yo pienso que es absolutamente necesario que se dé, y como se está dando en realidad esta colaboración, para mí es bastante significativo que el que haya tomado el rol otra vez es el canciller Marcelo Ebrard, que estuvo en el lugar, que estuvo dirigiendo parte de las operaciones ahí mismo en Sonora, en la sierra, ¿verdad? Y obviamente con la llegada de los primeros agentes del FBI a la zona, que estuvieron colaborando con sus contrapartes mexicanas. Carmen, yo creo que hay también un doble discurso. Una cosa es lo que se dice por parte del presidente y otra cosa es lo que se ejecuta por parte del gobierno. La colaboración en materia de la investigación sobre este homicidio se está viendo en el terreno, se está siendo dirigida por el canciller Marcelo Ebrard y está obteniendo todas las evidencias para que la autoridad norteamericana pueda proseguir las investigaciones. Tenemos que recordar, Carmen, que este lugar pues está a unos 120, 150 kilómetros del Paso, Texas, ¿verdad? La zona donde la DEA tiene un centro muy importante de inteligencia y desde donde se pueden hacer operaciones, desde luego, de monitoreo de, digamos, todo tipo de comunicaciones. Es decir, seguramente muy pronto vamos a conocer detalles de lo que realmente pasó en el terreno, así como los conocimos en Chicago con el tema de Ayotzinapa. Así que veo este doble discurso. Por un lado, la colaboración va a tener que ser como siempre ha sido, ¿verdad?, en el terreno entre los agentes mexicanos y los agentes norteamericanos, ya se está dando. Y desde luego, pues la otra parte del discurso que tiene que ser analizada a partir de otros parámetros.
Steve Foster of Concord tells me this all happened Monday morning at the Pleasant Hill station when he was approached by a BART police officer.
I was just up there eating a sandwich, man, just waiting for my train to come.
Foster says the officer, wearing the name badge McCormick, walked past several other people eating and drinking on the platform and confronted him. His girlfriend caught the interaction on her cell phone.
You are detained and you're not free to go. That's part of the bro. You come up here and with me. You single me out of all these people.
He was even handcuffed.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely upset, mad, a little frustrated, still kind of angry about it.
Bart says state law prohibits people from eating or drinking in the paid portions of the station. In other words, from the time you enter the turnstiles to the time you exit them at your destination.
It's against the law. So what? I tried. It'll be done working on Bart.
Bart released a statement today in response. Spokeswoman Alicia Trost said about Foster, quote, "He was not arrested. He was cited for eating, which is a violation of state law." She adds the man was lawfully handcuffed after refusing to provide his name multiple times. Once he provided his name, he was cited and released. Foster doesn't have a plan to sue, but he does have some advice.
I hope that they can start focusing on stuff that actually matters, like people shooting up dope, hopping the BART,